So in this screencast, we're going to look at some projects which use the additional inputs in microbit. So we're going to look at projects for temperature, acceleration, and magnetic force. So the first project we're going to look at is a temperature project, and on button B pressed, if the temperature is greater than 5, we're going to show a happy face, otherwise we're going to show a sad face. So in this case, the temperature is a temperature in degrees Celsius, so we're just going to say if it's more than 5 degrees Celsius, we're happy, otherwise we're sad. So we have our new project here. We're just going to get rid of on start and forever. We're going to use the input, which is on button B pressed. And we're just going to say if, so we're going to go to logic, and we're just going to pull across if then else. And we want if, and we're going to use a greater than sign. So we're saying here, if I go into input and go for temperature, which is just down here, so if the temperature in degrees Celsius is greater than 5, then we're going to show a happy face. So I'll just click on happy here. Otherwise, we're going to show a sad face. So I'm just going to change the icon here again to a sad face. So you'll notice here now when I start it, and if I press the button B, so you'll notice here it has a temperature here, and the temperature is 21 degrees. I can slide this up and down. Now you might say, well, now it's gone to below 5 degrees, but it's not showing anything. But remember, we need to press the B button. So if I press the B button now, it shows a sad face because we're at 3 degrees. If I go back up, it's happy, back down again, and it's sad, back up again, and it's happy. So in this case, you can use a simulator to simulate these various different things. Now obviously if you're running this in a microbit, it will just take the ambient temperature, so it won't be as easy to change the temperature of it. But that project just shows you just very easily how you can use the temperature. So in the next project, we're going to use the acceleration, and we're actually going to use just the acceleration on X, but there's an acceleration X value, a Y value, and a Z value. We're just going to check left to right, so we're just going to use the X acceleration. And here we're going to say on shake, if the X acceleration is greater than 0, then we show LEDs lit to the right, otherwise we're going to show LEDs lit to the left. So we'll just get rid of the on start and the forever. We're going to use our input of on shake. And again, we're just going to, so this one's very similar to the last project, but I'm just using different inputs. So here I'm going to say if I use logic, and what we're saying is we're going to use acceleration. And notice here I can check the X or the Y or the Z and the strength. So here I'm saying if it is greater than 0, then I want to show LEDs. So I'm just going to show which direction it is leaning in, or which, so whether it's left or right. So in this case it's leaning to the right, and otherwise I'm just going to duplicate this and show LEDs, and this time I'll make it lean to the left. So now I can just test this, so I can do the on shake, and it's leaning to the right. Now if I shake it, every time I shake it, I'm kind of going up to the top right, so it's always going to show to the right. In this particular case, because of what I'm actually testing here, if you run it on a microbit, then obviously when you're shaking it, you can shake it in all directions, so that will actually test it for you. What I will do is I will put this onto a microbit, and I'll take a little video and just show you it working on that in a separate video. The final project we're going to look at is using magnetic force. So at the start, we're going to set a Boolean value is switched to false, and then we're going to use a magnet to change that is switched between true and false. So if the magnetic force is greater than 100 or less than minus 100, that's just saying that there is a significant magnetic force, which means that there's a magnetic field in the vicinity of the microbit. Now we could actually use the absolute value. So those of you who are comfortable in the maths area, the absolute value just strips out the negative sign, but I'm just going to use just greater than 100 or less than minus 100 in the project. And if that is true, then we're going to set is switched to true, otherwise we set is switched to false. And then what we're going to do is when the A button is pressed, if is switched is true, we show a happy face, otherwise we'll show a sad face. So for this project in the onStart, we're going to create a variable. So we're making a variable and we're going to call it isSwitched. And then we're going to set that value to true. So I can find true in logic down here at the end. I'm just going to pull that across. Sorry, actually I'm going to set it equal to false at the start. And then we set it to true if there is a magnetic field. Then in the forever, we're going to create another variable called force. And we're going to set that value. So set force to, and we're looking for the magnetic force, but it's in the more section. So magnetic force. Now again, you can use the magnetic force in the X, Y, or Z, or strength. And in this case, I'm just going to use in the X direction. So here I'm setting force to the magnetic force in the X direction. And then I'm going to check if that magnetic force, and I need an or in here because we're saying if the magnetic force is greater than 100, so if the force is greater than 100 or it's less than, so I'm just going to duplicate this and put it over here. So if the force is greater than 100 or less than minus 100, then I'm going to put that in here. Then I'm going to set isSwitched to true. So go back into logic and find the true value. Sorry, here. There's true. And then I can duplicate that and put it up here. Otherwise, I'm going to set it to false. So it's just going to constantly flip backwards and forwards between them. So that's the starting bit. And then the last thing I need to do is on button A pressed. So I'll just bring this down a little bit. And I'm going to have a loop in here again, or an if statement in here again. So here, if, and here I want to check if isSwitched is true. So I just need to find my true here. Then I want to show a happy face. Sorry, it's in basic. So I'm going to show the icon happy face. Otherwise, I'll show the icon sad face. Now, with this project, I can't actually test it here because you can't test the magnetic force on the simulator. So I'm going to do a separate video which just shows you this project working, and I will upload that separately. But what is going to happen in it is, at the beginning, isSwitched is going to be set to false. If I press the A button, it's going to show a sad face. I then run a magnet over it, and then it will switch back. So it'll switch the isSwitched to true. And then when I press the A button, it's going to show a sad face. If I press it back, or if I take it away again, then it's going to set the isSwitched to false again, and we're going to show a sad face. So that's what should happen. Okay, so I hope you found these projects useful. As I said, I will have another video which shows these working on a microbit, and you can see how to calibrate the microbit with that, how this magnetic force one is working, and how the acceleration one will work as well. I hope you found these projects useful.